Welcome, everyone. Show number 2, 3 and Out, grand finale, show number 2. Larry and Taryn did a great job with kicking us off. This is Super Bowl Sunday. This is what we all wait for. This is what every team plays for. This is the end dream. This is the big dream here. We have a huge matchup, Chiefs against the Eagles. Chiefs are going for a three-peat. The Eagles, they're trying to stop it. And we'll see what's going to go on. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, those are the big names. Jalen Hurts, another big name for the Eagles. He's been here before. Saquon Barkley is entering his first Super Bowl. We'll see how he starts. A lot of fun stats. This is going to be a great matchup. I think this is really the two best teams in the NFL that are going to be playing against each other. This is what we play for. This is what we watch for, is for this final game. It's a little bittersweet. It's going to be the end of football. I don't know, if you guys are into other sports, but this is the end of football, but we have the best matchup that we could have thought of for this game. And before I get too much into the game and previewing it, let's hear a quick ad from our sponsors. You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the 3 and Out grand finale, show number 2 on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So again, Super Bowl 59 today. We have the Chiefs against the Eagles. Chiefs are going for a three-peat. This is a rematch from 57 when the Chiefs barely squeaked out a 38-35 victory over the Eagles. And we're going to get a rematch again. Now, I mentioned the rematch because the last time the Eagles came to a Super Bowl to rematch a team is when the Eagles lost to the Patriots at Super Bowl 39, 24-21. And when they rematched them in 2018, they ended up winning 41-33 over the Patriots, which was the only blemish for the Patriots in trying for a three-peat as they made 3 consecutive Super Bowls from 17 to 19. So the Eagles are on task again to not only stop a three-peat, but to redeem themselves against a team that just recently beat them. Now, these two teams are the best teams in the league. They, no doubt, Kansas City Chiefs, they ran through their schedule. They were able to win in any type of way that you could think of. Last week, not last week, the Pro Bowl was last week, a stupid schedule, but in the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs played a different style of football where they kind of played the Bills style, if you will. So the Chiefs this year have scored 30 points one time, and that was against the Texans. That was actually against the Buccaneers, 30-24 overtime victory in Week 9. They haven't scored over 30 points since then. The closest was a 29-10 victory over the Steelers on Christmas Day. But last week they scored, I'm just going to say last week. It's the conference championship. We know it was 2 weeks ago. But they scored 32 points in a very tough victory against the Bills, who they lost to in the regular season. Didn't really look as good in the regular season, but it looked like everything was humming last week. There's a notable name, Joe Thuney. He's an all-pro, I guess, guard, but tackle. He's been playing tackle this year. And against the Texans, he just allowed constant pressure. It just looked out of sorts. He didn't look like he was really protecting Mahomes as well as he should have been. But that was highlighted in the media. That was highlighted in reports. That was highlighted in the game going against Buffalo. And Joe Thuney came out and didn't allow a sack, pressure, or anything from him. And that's going to be a big difference maker for this Super Bowl is Joe Thuney, and which Joe Thuney we're going to get, the one against the Texans or the one against the Bills. The Eagles are probably the best team in the trenches, especially between these two teams, but overall in the NFL. You have Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, Oren Burks, Josh Sweat. You have all these guys that could get in there. Cooper DeJean in coverage is a rookie. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Quinion Mitchell, another rookie corner. Darius Slay. You could move those guys also into doing some weird blitzing and get pressure on Mahomes in a certain fashion. Now, it's a little tough to play against Mahomes because Mahomes likes to just run. He likes to move around. He isn't good with like a set drop back and, okay, this is the play I'm going to look for here, B, C, okay, let's make a decision. That's not his style of play. His style of play is like just chaos. He thrives in the chaos environment, as you've seen, as you've heard countless times over and over, as we saw the last two Super Bowls, last multiple seasons of playoffs, ever since he kind of became a starter. Mahomes has been that guy that runs, then throws, fakes a throw, does this backhand throw. He just does whatever he needs to do to win. He doesn't need top talent. He doesn't need like an all-star, all-pro. He just doesn't need that type of stuff to win games. The Chiefs thrive on defense, and Mahomes knows how to win games. And that's the tough thing for Vic Fangio with this defense. I mean, their defense is the best in the league. Number one in points allowed, 17.9 per game. Number one in yards per game allowed, 289.3. This is what Mahomes knows how to play against, is this type of defense. They're going to put pressure on him. They're going to get into the backfield, and that might not even be the best solution for the Eagles defense to do in order to stop Mahomes. You want to stop Mahomes, you're going to have to force him to stay in the pocket. Now, it's a tough battle in that regard because you force him to stay in the pocket. Now you're going to give him opportunity and time to throw. He has good weapons that he knows how to use. Travis Kelce is always, always, always a danger in the playoffs. He knows that's just him. Him and Mahomes' rhythm is unmatched, unparalleled. They're going to match up, and they're going to cause problems. Juju Smith-Schuster, you have Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy. I mean, Justin Watson has been playing well for them even. And there's this guy named DeAndre Hopkins that you guys probably are familiar with that's not going to match up well for the Eagles, especially when they get to the goal line. DeAndre Hopkins is tall and lanky. He could get up over the guys, especially Cooper DeJean. He could get up over Quinion Mitchell. He could get up over C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And that's going to be a guy to watch, especially when the Chiefs get into the red zone, is watching what DeAndre Hopkins does. And I think Andy Reid, who's just a mastermind on offense, he led the Eagles for, I think, 12 or 13 seasons. Now he's entering season 14 next year because he said he will be back next year. I believe that's going to be season 12, 13, 14. I mean, he's had decades on two different teams. He's won multiple Super Bowls with two different teams. Andy Reid knows exactly how to win. He knows exactly what to do on offense. He's probably the second greatest coach. I think Bill Belichick's the greatest. I'm going to stand by that. I could argue all day, but I think Bill Belichick is the greatest head coach of all time. I think Andy Reid is probably right behind him. And he knows how to make things happen. He knows how to win. Look at last year. They didn't have really superstars anywhere. They had the problem where Mahomes doesn't have a passing game. And, did they change anything? No, not really. They grabbed Hopkins during the middle of the season. He played nicely, but he was never that superstar up commanding 15, targets a game. Hollywood Brown was supposed to be that. He missed almost all the season with an injury. Xavier Worthy, they're able to do end arounds. He's super fast, rookie out of Texas. The Chiefs just have pieces that know how to work together. Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, those two know how to work with Mahomes. They have a nice offensive line that's, they do have some struggles with that. But I think overall Mahomes and the Chiefs offense is poised very nicely to stop and contain what the Eagles are going to want to do. The Eagles can't just barrel in and cause a bunch of pressure. They can't just barrel in and force Mahomes out of the pocket. They have to be very strategic on how they want to play Mahomes, how they want to keep him in the pocket, how they want to be able to put pressure on him but force him to stay in the pocket. That's going to be their ends coming in. That's going to be Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter. I mean, that's going to be Bond and Burks playing a part, Jordan Davis playing a part, Morrow, Ajomo playing a part. They're getting Brandon Graham back for the Super Bowl, so he's going to have to play a part as well. But they have to rush from the tackles and the outside and close the pocket in and maybe get some pressure on I don't know, bring another guy in. That's going to be where Bond or Burks or Sweat, those guys are going to have to come in. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. might have to come in, Brandon Graham. Getting somebody to come through the middle to force Mahomes to try to get out of the pocket, but I want to see the Eagles close the pocket from the outside, and that's going to cause Mahomes a lot of problems if he has to make fast decisions and fast throws. While Mahomes does thrive in that environment too, it's going to make it a little challenging, a little more tougher for him to really get comfortable. And that's going to be the biggest thing, is get Mahomes uncomfortable. I think when he starts running around, even though it looks like chaos and he's not comfortable, that's his comfort zone. His comfort zone is making throws on the run, making throws out of thin air, just making things happen that you usually don't see quarterbacks in the NFL do. They like to sit in the pocket, and Mahomes isn't that type of quarterback. Now, there's this other stat that I pulled up I read sometime this week, and I thought it was extremely, extremely interesting, especially when you talk about this dominant Eagles defense. Vic Fangio is 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes, and he's allowed 26.9 points per game against Mahomes. So Mahomes knows how to beat this defense. He knows how to beat Vic Fangio. He knows exactly what he's doing against this guy. It doesn't matter who he has on the field. Mahomes knows how to beat the defense led by Vic. And that's going to be a problem. That's definitely going to be a problem for the Eagles. They've been dominant all season. There was a little concern against the Rams where they just kept letting the Rams get back in the game, especially in the snow. The Rams almost beat them, actually, on a comeback. If they were able to complete a couple passes and get there, they could have won easily. It was only a 6-point game. They score a touchdown, kick an extra point, they win. The Eagles also, their offense played very poorly, I'd say, against the Packers. Their defense actually shut down the Packers, depending on how you look at it. The Packers offense was awful. Now, was that because of the Eagles defense? Was that because Jordan Love and the Packers offense has some injuries and just were bad? You could go either way on that. But there's a lot of red flags, I guess, when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and how they do come out and play. Now, they went on a huge tear throughout the season. Week 6 through week 15, they won every single game. Multiple games they won easily. There was even some closer games that I felt weren't as close as what the score said. Washington, they had problems with throughout the season. And if they play like how they played against the Commanders in the conference championship game, I have absolutely no question, no doubt the Eagles are going to win this game against the Chiefs. They kept scoring rushing touchdowns. It just looked like the Eagles were a whole different team in this game, and that's what they're going to need to do. Saquon Barkley had 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns, and that was rushing. They had Will Shipley added another. They had 7 rushing touchdowns as a team, and they just walked all over the Commanders. And they're going to have to do the same thing. They're going to have to really attack. I don't think that they're going to have to rely on the defense as much, but, you can't keep beating the same people. You're going to end up eventually losing. And the Eagles' defense kind of caused a little chaos to Jaden Daniels. Watching the game, he didn't look comfortable. He only had 3 sacks, but he just didn't look comfortable compared to previous weeks. They forced an interception. The running game really didn't do too much for Washington. The issue for the Eagles defense against this Washington team, why I bring this up, is Zach Ertz had 11 receptions for 104 receiving yards on 16 targets. Now, Zach Ertz used to play for the Eagles, so I guess this was maybe a playoff revenge game for him. Not sure. But that's important because no other receiver besides Eckler, who had 5 receptions, came even close to Zach Ertz's receptions or targets. He had 9 more targets than Scary Terry, 9 more targets than Austin Eckler. And these are all important things because the Eagles do have, the Chiefs do have Travis Kelce. Everyone knows Travis Kelce. Everyone knows what he's able to do. Everybody knows what Mahomes and Kelce are capable of. While Kelce hasn't been the same guy in recent weeks, in recent seasons, especially last year and this year, during the regular season, everyone talks stuff about the Chiefs. Oh, they won't make the Super Bowl again. Oh, Mahomes and Kelce look old. Kelce looks old. Mahomes looks off. It was the same thing this year again. Travis Kelce didn't really do too much. He had a couple games where he led the team in receiving yards and stuff, but Kelsey was not the same Kelsey that we're used to in previous seasons. And watching Zach Ertz get reception after reception, get the yards, get a lot of targets, just get utilized a whole lot with the Commanders' offense, it makes me think that, okay, you have Travis Kelce here. Mahomes is very comfortable with him. You have this guy, this name called Playoff Kelce. And if you allow Zach Ertz to do what he did, where Zach Ertz is at the tail end of his career as well, he's going to be back next year. He wants to play in 2025, just a side note. But if you think that Kelce can't command 15 receptions for this game, he can't go off. Yeah, he's slower. Yeah, he doesn't, he's an excellent route runner, though. He knows exactly what Mahomes needs from him. So if you don't think that he could get 15, 20 targets for this game, you're out of your mind, because Kelce is going to get used. Kelce has been used in Super Bowls. Kelce gets used in the playoffs, and Mahomes knows exactly when to find him, when to go after him, and that's just what it is. It's in the playoffs so far, Kelce has 12 targets, which is only behind Xavier Worthy. He has the most receiving yards on the team at 136. He does have a touchdown, averaging 68 yards per game. And the interesting thing is yards after catch. He has 136 receiving yards with 66 yards after the catch, which is kind of important because, that's a tight end for who really can't move too much. He is still getting yards after he catches the ball. You allow him to get open or get into space. You allow him to catch the ball, even though he is slower. He's a big guy. It's going to be hard to tackle. And do you really want to have Travis Kelce and Mahomes beat you again? That duo has played a huge part in the last two Super Bowls they were in. And do you want that to happen again after just allowing Zach Ertz to have 11 receptions and basically run over the defense? Granted, they won, but, having Zach Ertz play that big of a part is just not ideal, especially when you face a team that has Kelce, that has that top tight end that could do that. Against the Rams, Tyler Higbee, another tight end, 7 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. There just seems like there's a theme when you pull up the playoff box scores here. Tucker Kraft had 5 receptions, 26 yards. He actually led the Packers in receptions. It just seems like there's a theme where the Eagles just let the tight end kind of get more receptions, kind of let the tight end freer, more open. Now, is that something that is a schematic problem? Is that because, the Rams, okay, they had Puka, they had Cooper Kupp. Is it because the Packers have a lot of wide receiver weapons? I don't know. Is it because of Scary Terry? Is it because of Zacchaeus? I don't know. But you can't do that against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs also have Xavier Worthy, who's extremely fast. I don't know why the Bills didn't want to take him, but the Chiefs know how to use him. Mahomes will dump it off to Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy has 154 yards after catch in the playoffs, 154 yak, and he only has 130 receiving yards. So he's not getting the ball in space and just, take it off from there as much. He's getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage. They're doing end arounds. They're using him as a running back somewhat. Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce could kill this Eagles defense if they don't know how to stop a tight end. And if they can't stop the running game, that's going to be a major, major problem for the Eagles defense. And like I said, 8-0. Mahomes is 8-0 against Vic Fangio. You're going to have to play a certain type of football to close the pocket, but keep it kind of like a crushed egg, if you will. I'm going to try to draw with my hands on the screen. Hopefully this goes well. But the pocket's going to start like this, and you're going to want to just basically keep it like this with pressure coming from the inside. So if you keep it around here, Mahomes cannot get out of the pocket. You know, if he can't get out to the outside, you're going to limit him. And that's going to limit Kelsey. That's going to limit Xavier Worthy. That's going to limit Schuster. That's going to limit Brown. That's going to limit Gray. That's going to limit Hopkins. That's going to limit the running game. It's going to limit the entire offense for the Chiefs. And the problem with that is that if you shut down the passing game for the Chiefs, I don't think they're going to beat you running the football. I don't think Kareem Hunt is going to be that guy. I don't think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be that guy. Mahomes is 18 carries in the playoffs so far with 2 touchdowns. So 7 first downs. Kareem Hunt has 8. I don't think the Chiefs are winning running the football. They're going to win by Mahomes. They're going to win by their own game. And you can't let Mahomes get comfortable. You can't let Xavier Worthy, you can't let Smith Schuster, you can't let Brown, you can't let these guys get time to get open. And Travis Kelce, he knows how to get open as well. He can catch the ball in traffic. He can catch the ball over people, through people. And, you know, that's going to be the player I think, okay, let him be open a little bit because you could close that off pretty well. So I think Kelsey has a good game. I think Worthy is going to do some damage, but the Eagles really have to limit Kelsey. They have to limit Mahomes rushing out of the pocket, and I think they could do that. I think that this is going to be the time where the Eagles show that they can beat Mahomes. I think the Eagles are going to do the same thing they did against the Patriots the last time they played New England in a redemption game, and they're going to beat the Chiefs. I think that that's very, very possible. The other problem is the Chiefs know how to win against anybody, and that's just the biggest problem that any team is ever going to have, that we're always going to talk about, is the Chiefs know how to win every single game that they play. They can win. It doesn't matter if they're playing the all-time greats on Madden. The Chiefs can still win a game just because they know how to play. They know what they have to do to win. They know what they have to do to not lose. They don't care if the Eagles go up by 7 with 25 seconds left in the game. It's Mahomes. He knows exactly what he has to do to get in the end zone, to go 80 yards down the field, 75 yards. He knows exactly what he has to do, use no timeouts through that whole thing. He just knows exactly how to win. And that's the danger, and that's the really scary part, actually, for the Chiefs, is they could play anybody's game. We saw that against the Bills. They played their game. Saw that against the Texans, played their game. Saw it all season long where the Chiefs come in and they play the opponent's game and win. They play their own game, win. They had back-to-back weeks. Actually, they had 3 weeks in a row where they won by 3 points. They almost lost against the Panthers, able to pull it out. Almost lost to the Raiders. Almost lost to the Chargers. You know, they blocked a field goal? I don't know how long, but they blocked the field goal against the Broncos to win. That was week 10. You know, Chiefs know how to win, and that's going to be the really dangerous thing for the Eagles. Speaking of danger and the Chiefs knowing how to win, is how – I don't know if this is like completely dangerous, but this is kind of a weird kind of threat, I guess. I don't know if this is a threat towards the NFL or if this is a threat towards, like, I don't know, the ratings. I don't really get it, but on Twitter, a lot of people have said that this is a boring Super Bowl, They don't want to watch this. Oh, we're not watching the Super Bowl. Well, first of all, what are you watching instead? Are you going to watch a movie? I don't know. You go walk outside. It's cold out, winter. Um, Nothing else is on now. I mean, everything is shut down because the Super Bowl is on today. Everybody's playing all the sports beforehand. There's never a sport on during the Super Bowl because they won't get any viewers. People watch for the halftime show, people watch for the commercials, and people are all over Twitter. I'm not watching the Super Bowl. What are you watching instead? Now, that's just I can't believe that there's a lot of football fans that are saying, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. I'm not going to watch this game. And that's ridiculous because this is actually the most exciting game that we could have asked for outside of the Chiefs and Bills game, outside of a Bills-Ravens game, which is only going to be the AFC Championship game. This game is the most exciting game out there that any football fan could have asked for. You have the Chiefs going for a three-peat. You have the Chiefs that could beat anybody. You have the Chiefs that are always excited to watch, even in low-scoring games. People like this. Oh, I'm not going to watch the Chiefs this week. That's a lot of people. I welcome watching Mahomes. I welcome watching the Chiefs every single week. I get that they get the calls. I get that they have the refs on their side. Whatever. Really, I don't care because teams can still beat the Chiefs regardless of that. But this is an exciting game. There's history to be made. There's history on the line. Andy Reid, one of the best coaches in the league, plays against the team or is facing the team, not playing, but he's facing the team that he used to coach. He's going for a three-peat. Nobody has ever done a three-peat in NFL history, not even Belichick, in Super Bowl history, I'll say, because the Packers actually have 2 three-peat championship runs in their history. This is before the Super Bowl. So just want to mention that. The Eagles, they're the best team coming out of the NFC. They, from top to bottom, they're just dominant. Speaking of top to bottom dominant for the Eagles, Saquon Barkley, top to bottom dominant. Out of the backfield running, out of the backfield catching. He does what he needs to do to win. He has 3 straight games over 100 yards rushing. He had 200, I think, against the Rams, some ridiculous number. He had 118 against the Commanders. He had over 100 against the Packers, 119. Saquon Barkley is going to do some damage against the Chiefs. I'm looking here. Karlaftis, Chris Jones, Bolton, Leo Chanel, McDuffie. I don't really see too many players on the Chiefs defense that can really stop Saquon Barkley. And this is the X factor here. This is going to be the X factor in the game is how Barkley is able to play in the big game. He's never played in the Super Bowl before. Obviously, the playoffs are not a problem for him. But, how is Saquon Barkley going to play this week? How is he going to face against the Chiefs defense? How is he going to help this offense get moving? And I want to see, 2,005 yards on the season. I don't see where it said. Okay. It doesn't really matter. Because it's the playoffs, so if I pull up any other stats, it's not going to matter. Well, Barkley has been the most vital part of the Eagles' offense this year. They've dealt with Jalen Hurts being injured, and he's came out and actually played pretty well, especially last week. They still have the tush push that is always going to work. They have A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. You have weapons to utilize. The only issue on offense and where you're going to need to get Saquon Barkley going and make sure that he goes, I think he's going to have at least 120 yards rushing today for the Eagles to have success, is the Eagles don't really have a whole lot of depth. They have Calcaterra, Jahan Dotson, and that's about it, as far as receiving depth. And that's really not the best I guess that's not the best course of action, is don't get into a shootout. Don't get into a matchup where you have to throw the ball a bunch. These two teams are the longest drive or longest time of possession per drive teams. They know how to run the clock. Both of them know how to take time off the clock. I think the game is going to be extremely low score. Not extremely, but a very low scoring compared to previous Super Bowls, compared to what we've seen in the past. I don't think any team gets over 30 points just because of how slow moving it is. Mahomes knows how to just dink and dive and keep it going. Mahomes knows how to stay in bounds to keep running the clock. And the Eagles know how to just run the ball with Barkley. He always has that ability to get huge runoffs. I think he's had a 60-yard rushing touchdown against the Rams. He had a long one last week. He would have had a 70-yard touchdown against the Packers, but he slid instead because the game was over. The Eagles know how to take time off, and that's going to be a challenge as well. So let's say, for an example, a scenario that the Eagles have the ball. It's 5 minutes left in the game. Are the Eagles going to be able to use up as much clock as they need to score? Are they going to be able to use up enough clock to not let Mahomes get time? And that's the other factor too, is if you allow Mahomes to get the ball last in the games in hand, the Chiefs get tired or win it. I don't trust that the Eagles are going to be able to stop Mahomes in that time frame like that. Mahomes also, if he gets the ball and you want to get a stop on him so you could get the ball back, if they do score, Mahomes knows how to run out the entire clock. I mean, he could run – Mahomes could take 8 minutes left in the game and run that clock to zero if you let him. Mahomes knows how to play the game from top to bottom. He knows how to take clock out. He knows how to run. He knows how to pass. And that's going to be extremely tough. And the Eagles are going to have to play their style of football. They're going to have to run the ball a lot. They're going to have to take time off the clock. They're going to have to limit the amount of possessions that the Chiefs offense does get. And that's going to come from Saquon Barkley. That's the key to the Eagles winning. That's the key to their offense. That's the key to the entire game, in my opinion, is getting Saquon Barkley comfortable, getting him moving, getting him running, and just letting him carry it, just carry the offense, carry the team. And I didn't want to give a prediction until the end, but I'm going to give this prediction, which will foreshadow my prediction at the end. I think Saquon Barkley is going to win the MVP. Now, you could take my prediction and make guesses how you want, but I think Saquon Barkley is going to win the MVP for the Super Bowl. Now, again, usually the loser does not have an MVP that wins, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think Saquon Barkley is going to get the Super Bowl MVP. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a fantastic game. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to stop him. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to limit him. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to limit Jalen Hurts, which is going to force Saquon Barkley to do even better. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to use his legs more than his arm. I don't think A.J. Brown's going to have a good game. I just personally don't. I think A.J. Brown's probably going to have about 3 or 4 receptions, get about 30 yards, will not find the end zone. I think Devontae Smith is going to be the guy for the Eagles on offense and throwing the ball. I think Goddard's going to have a nice game. I think Dotson's going to find the end zone. I think Smith's going to find the end zone for them. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring either. I don't think that the Eagles are going to have to pass the ball like what everyone thinks, like everyone is hoping for, I guess. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a slow-paced game. A lot of running, a lot of slow moving. I honestly think that the game's going to move rather quickly just because of a lot of running. I don't think there's going to be I wouldn't coach the Eagles to run out of bounds and stop the clock at any point in the first half, unless it's, they're getting close to the 2 minute to halftime, or, you need to slow down. You just need to stop the clock for a second to catch your breath or anything. I just would not encourage the Eagles at any point in the game outside of before halftime and maybe the end of the game, depending on how it goes. But I'm not coaching the Eagles to run out of bounds at all. Try to stay in bounds. Try to run the clock as much as you can. You need to control the time of possession. You need Saquon Barkley to go off. Those are going to be the two keys for success. You're going to have to limit the Chiefs' time of possession as well. And like I've already said, their pocket presence, you're going to have to really limit Mahomes getting outside of the pocket, force him in the pocket, force him to throw a little faster, but also not too fast where he's, snap, snap, throw. Not like that, because Mahomes can also beat you that way. You have to just basically close the pocket from the inside out. You have to close the pocket where Mahomes isn't getting out. And you limit the time of possession the Chiefs have. You dominate the time of possession. You're going to win this game. And it's going to all come down to, again, Saquon Barkley. He had 2,000 rushing yards on the season. He's had, almost 500 rushing yards in the postseason so far. It's going to come down to Saquon Barkley taking control of the clock, taking control of the ball. And that's going to be the key factor for the Eagles if they want to win this game, is getting Saquon Barkley going, get him comfortable, get him running. And that's really going to be the key to this game. I'm going to take a quick break. You're listening to 3 and Out, the grand finale, show number 2 on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, you're listening to Three and Out, the grand finale, show number 2 with your host, Dan Dyhard Vachalek, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I do just want to say, oh, you can't even see my face. Oh, well. So if you look straight ahead, we had Larry B. and Taryn Rodriguez has kicked this off today. Then I'm your second show. Andre Fernandez will be after me. Then we have Big Mike, Aaron Yall, and Alden K. Then Ricky K. and Ralph Calise. They'll be doing some shows as well. And then Larry B. and Matthew Owens will do the final show before the big game tonight. Then after, we'll do a post-game. Larry B is going to host it. I don't know if Taryn Rodriguez is going to show, but hopefully he's on there as well. They're a great duo. So I just wanted to show this out. We have a packed almost 12 hours of football coverage on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So there was a Philly comment from our Philly radio station. He said the only way to beat the Eagles is to force them to throw. The Chiefs know this. The game's on Jalen Hurts. He also said the Chiefs will take away the run and force the Eagles to throw. I do agree. I agree with both. And now you might say, hey, well, you just said Saquon Barkley's the key to winning, but now you're saying you agree with this. And that's why it's going to be so important for the Eagles to get Saquon Barkley going. The Chiefs are going to try to stop it. The Chiefs are going to focus on the run game. They're going to force Jalen Hurts to throw. And getting Jalen Hurts moving as well, along with Barkley running, is going to be very key. It's going to help because you could factor in some play action plays here if you get Saquon going early in the game. You get Saquon getting some runs early in the game, 4 or 5 yard runs, 3 yard runs, getting positive yardage on his runs. Now you open the play action game as well. When you open the play action, they don't know if it's going to be a pass or a run. Getting play action going with Jalen Hurts is going to also open back up Saquon Barkley if he does get kind of clogged down, because the Chiefs are going to end up stuffing the box. You get Saquon to the edge. You get Saquon through the middle. It doesn't matter. Teams also have played the Eagles the same way that the Chiefs are going to play them. They force them to throw the football, and Saquon still does what he wants to do and still able to get through there. And again, like I've said, the key is going to be Saquon Barkley getting going. They could force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball. I don't think this game is going into Jalen Hurts' hands. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to run the football as well, and he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to do play action to get that going. But the key is going to be Saquon Barkley, and every team goes in saying, hey, we got to stop Barkley, and the Rams didn't. Rams couldn't stop him at all. He had 200-some yards. The Commanders couldn't stop him, 3 touchdowns. Packers definitely couldn't stop him, 100-some yards. He was key offense. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass for, 2.5 quarters. So I don't think the Eagles are going to have to throw like what people think. I don't think the Chiefs are going to have a run game and they're going to have to throw. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to have as much success throwing the football like what we would typically see. I don't know what the over-under for yardage is for Mahomes. I don't see that. I don't see him going the over. I don't really know if he ever goes the over. I don't think that we're going to see big games from Brown. I think Devontae Smith is going to be their top receiver, and I don't even think he's going to really pass 100 yards receiving. I don't think Goddard's going to pass 100. 100 yards receiving. I don't think Goddard's passing 100 yards receiving. I don't think there's going to be anybody that really records yardage on offense outside of Barkley, outside of the running game. I think maybe the Eagles will have 200 passing yards, 225 total as a team. And I don't think they're going to need to pass to win. I think it's really going to come down to Barkley. I think the Chiefs can try to stop him all they want. The key is the Chiefs are going to have to tackle. You let Barkley get past the line of scrimmage and into open space a little bit, he's gone. If Barkley gets one breakout run of 60 yards, 50 yards that we've seen consistently, I think that's going to just end the game for the Chiefs. Even if it's early first quarter, second quarter, I think that's just going to really hurt the Chiefs defense. I think they won't be able to really redeem themselves from stopping Barkley overall off that. There's just a minor, thing with the Chiefs defense is Spags knows what he's doing. We saw that against the Bills where they didn't really do any pressures and they faked the coverage and put pressure on Josh Allen on the last play on that fourth down. And that was a surprise. That was an absolute shock to me that they ran that blitz like that. I don't think Allen was expecting that. I don't think the announcers were expecting that. I don't think anybody on the Bills was expecting that blitz, especially because of how the rest of the game went. And I definitely think that the Eagles need to be watching out for different weird stuff from Spags. He knows how to just throw stuff in. Spags and Vic are two great defensive coordinators. You're going to have to watch the Chiefs defense. And I think they're really going to try to stop the run. I think they're going to probably concede the run a little bit because they know it. They know that the Eagles aren't going to win passing the ball. They know the Eagles are going to run the ball. I've seen teams like the Colts against the Packers. The Colts knew the Packers were running the ball, didn't stop anything. Obviously, these are two way different teams. But I've seen teams that just know what's going to happen and don't end up following through. Chris Jones obviously is going to be a big player in this game, as he usually is. But it's going to come down to the linebackers. It's going to come down to the entire team being able to try to stop Barkley. And I don't think the Chiefs have enough firepower have enough firepower, just have enough stuff to stop Barkley consistently. And that's the big key for me. I don't trust Jalen Hurts enough to lead the Eagles to victory throwing the ball all game. I don't think this year Jalen Hurts is that quarterback. I don't think the Eagles are that team that relies on a passing game. And that's really what it comes down to when it comes to the Super Bowl is running the ball, time of possession, clock management, defense, the little things. And the Eagles do those great. They say the key to winning any football game, the key to winning championships starts with the lines, starts with the offensive line of scrimmage, starts with the defensive line of scrimmage. The other thing that is really going to elevate the Eagles for running the football is their offensive line. Barkley has mentioned it this week on Radio Row and doing interviews. It's been talked about on multiple different shows. It's been talked about all week. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football, one of the best offensive lines of all time. I don't really know if I agree with all time, but they have one of the best they have the best offensive line in football, or at least a top 3 offensive line. And that's going to be really, really difficult for the Chiefs. I don't think that the Chiefs have the best defensive line compared to how the Eagles have the best offensive line. I mean, you have Mailata, Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, Lane Johnson. I mean, your offensive line is very, very good in Philadelphia. Their defensive line is very, very good. And that's how the Eagles really focus, is by their lines. The Eagles also just have an entire team of all-stars. But that offensive line, if they get a little push, they get some confusion for the Chiefs. Again, you have to stop Barkley if you're Kansas City. And if you don't stop Barkley, it's not gonna matter what Jalen Hurts does, because Barkley is going to control the game. I saw something. I couldn't find it before the game. I couldn't find it on Twitter, but I saw something of like the most. I think it was like 15 play drives or something for the year, and both these teams have that. Both the teams have over 50 drives this year of over 15 plays or something ridiculous. Um, I I think this game is going to be it's going to be a fast-moving game with regards to the time clock. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. We have an over-under of 49.5. Actually, sorry, 48.5. 49.5 is what it opened as. Total is going to be 48.5 over-under. A 1-point spread. So that's in Kansas City's favorite. They're favored by 1. And that's pretty much, if you look at those two things, that's telling. That's very telling. I've been leaning towards the under on the overall points for a good week and a half now since I saw it the line open out. I'm going the over on the points. I'm going to go the over. I think it's just going to be it's hard. It's hard for me. I think it's going to be the Super Bowl. I think, the Chiefs are going to score some weird way or something. I just think the over is going to have to be what it's going to be for one of these teams to come out with the victory. I don't think it's going to be by much of the over, but I do think around 52 points, 51, 52 points is going to be, realistic combined. I think the Eagles are going to lapse on defense a couple plays. I think the Chiefs are going to lapse on defense a couple plays. You're going to get some extra scoring. I do think that that the time is going to move where we watch the game. Like, wow, the first quarter is already, it's midway through the second. And then there's going to be other times where, you're watching the game and it's going to feel like, wow, this game is moving kind of slow here. It's going to be run heavy. It's going to be, little check downs heavy. But I think they're going to get the over. I can't see this game going under 48.5. I mean, just 48 points is a 27-21 game. I think that's possible. I'm not that far off. But, I think there's going to be more scoring than that. The Eagles, they've been scoring points. Chiefs, they only have one game over 30 points this season. So, my prediction for this game, though, is I'm saying the overs and unders. My prediction for this game, and this is I really hate going against the Chiefs. I'm not putting any money on this game. I don't recommend anyone else put money on this game unless you're a fan of either team. Because you can't bet against the Chiefs. It's just, why bet against the Chiefs? They'll continuously prove you wrong. But I can't go against the best team in the league. I can't go against a team that's found ways to win in multiple different ways. I can't go against the best running back in the league. I can't go against a team that beat the Packers. Personally, I don't want to, but I can't go against the best team in the league. I can't go against I just can't go against the overall talent. I can't go against the trenches. My prediction for Super Bowl Sunday is Eagles 27, Chiefs 24. And I think this is shocking, but I think the Chiefs are going to have an opportunity to tie the game, and it's going to fall short. The Magic's going to run out, and the Chiefs aren't going to be able to pull a three-peat as much as I would love to see a three-peat. I think the Eagles are going to come out 27-24. So we got about 30 seconds. So this is Saquon Barkley's MVP, Eagles 27-24. We have a show all day. Again, like I showed earlier, everything all day. I don't want to take up too much time, but Andre Fernandez is going to be doing 3 and Out Grand Finale show number 3 coming up in about 10 seconds. Again, I'm your host, Dan Vachalek, aka Dyhard. This was 3 and Out, the Grand Finale show number 2 on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.